be seated. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm looking at. Remember Lot's wife.
Yeah.
Look at that. Remember Lot's wife.
As the kids used to say this in paper.
I should have looked it up before I got it.
Luke 17.
Where are we?
Luke 17:32.
Luke
17:32.
17:32.
Luke 17 and 32.
Oh.
Yes, and 32.
All right, everybody pay attention now. We'll get started here. Luke 17 and 32. So, take my little highlighter, yellow pen. Well, let's keep one of these in your Bible. And mark that right there. I'll be glad to next time. Let me go back to it again. Okay. Now, we ready? This is going to be a short lesson today. I know they're glad about that. All right. Sister Johnson,
Yes, sir.
this is for everybody.
Yes, sir.
You need to, I want you to look at this verse carefully, just 3 words, and see if you can figure out where I'm going to go today get ready, Sister Godblow?
Yes, sir.
Sister Engel?
Yes, sir.
All right. See, I want you to be able to tell me where you think I'm going to go today. Then I know you've been following me all these many weeks. You can't, Sister Johnson, but I know you're not with me. You know, you can't come one Sunday, miss the next Sunday, because you will be way behind.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's get started. I'm not talking about you, Marcus. Marcus.
Yes.
Most of the Bibles have what they call red letter edition. Edition. That's edition. Oh, you don't have to do it. I think mine does. And the red letter tells us.
And Jesus is
It's
speaking.
supposed to be what?
Jesus is speaking.
Jesus is talking.
That's right. A lot of y'all may not have known that. A lot of people don't know that. Did you? Or good? Red letter, they call it red letter edition. These are the words of Jesus. Remember the last one. All right. I want to know if you have any idea at all why you think I would be beginning our discussion today with Luke what?
17.
32. Why you have any? Hurry back, Brother Johnson, you're included. Go on. But he's a smart student, though. If you have any idea why you think I'm going to start off today with this verse, remember about somebody. Now, you already know that this is a red letter edition. Right? You already know that this means what, Sister Johnson? Jesus.
That Jesus is talking.
So now I want you to think about this. I'm going to give you 60 seconds. And if you have any idea why you think, because I want to know where you are, not where you at, but where you are. Any idea why you think I would start out today with this verse? What you want to write? And I got one hand up. So while you're thinking about it, if she starts talking, if she's right, she can change your mind if you're wrong. How about that? Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir. Due to you putting emphasis on the red letters and Jesus is talking, because due to what we have been learning, I would say that Jesus is letting us know that he was there when the episode or when Lot's wife turned into pillar. He was there back when that happened.
And where do you get where? I need to know where you're getting this from.
I'm getting this from Luke 17.
That's what I want you to know.
Yes, sir. Luke 17
I
and
want
13.
to know, do you know why you think Jesus is saying
Just that he was there. He
it? You're
experienced.
correct. Of course, this is red letter edition.
Yes, sir.
And the red letter tells us that Jesus was talking. But I need to know now from you from Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. Why am I starting on this and why did Jesus say this? He was where?
He was there when she turned into a pillar of salt. He was there when she loved the world so much that she turned.
What are you getting? You should be getting at what I want you to get at.
Yes, sir.
This is God who's got a hand up there.
Okay, she can take it over.
Okay, Sister Godblow.
Because we're trying to trace where Jesus was in the Old Testament, where you can find him in different places in the Old Testament, in different whatever. This is really an example of him being in the Old Testament.
Sister Godblow, what do we mean when we say was in the Old Testament?
We mean that Jesus was in the Old Testament, but his name was not in there as Jesus, but he showed us.
Sister Godfrey, why you sitting way in the back? You're supposed to be up on the front row.
Some of you ain't take my medicine, bitch.
Oh, okay.
Over you.
All right,
I'm
go ahead.
gonna move up, because, we need to know that he was in the Bible, though he was not called Jesus. He was called the rock, he was called an angel, he was called different names, but this shows that he spoke about what he knew about Saul in the Old Testament. He was present.
But Sister Guadalupe, where does she really need to go to first?
Genesis.
You know what?
Genesis 19 and
Genesis 19.
Sister, where does she really need to go to first?
Genesis 19:26. Well, no, I would go back up a little bit.
Sister Engel, where do they really need to go to first?
We need to go to Genesis.
Ma'am?
To Genesis.
Sister Bailey, where do they need to go to first?
St. John. I go back up.
St. John.
The word.
Okay, Sister Hurdle.
I was thinking St. John too.
Okay, Rhonda, you don't come.
Genesis 19.
Sister Watson,
Genesis 19.
Brother Gary.
I would go, Bishop,
Genesis 19. Well, if you talking about let us make man in our image.
I would go back up on those scriptures, back right where we are, but I would go
No,
to
no, no,
17,
no, no.
up
This
here
is
where it
Nancy.
starts. Talking about.
No. You gotta say what I want you to say, because I'm the teacher.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You don't come to my class and tell me what you want to say. You're gonna get out. Right, Mark? I ain't going with me, you want to say, but that's what the teacher said. What you said, what I want you to say. And then no matter where you go, no matter where you preach, you say, oh, you better preach your wife.
She looked back.
What do you have?
She looked back and became a.
No. What do you have?
Philippians 2.
Huh?
Philippians.
Oh, okay.
No.
Philippians, Sister Hurdle, Philippians. Sister Hurdle.
Yes, sir.
Philippians.
Yes, sir.
Philippians, I'm telling you, over there in your mind.
Yes, sir.
Philippians. What's in Philippians, Sister Hurdle?
When Jesus, he had no reputation and he emptied himself and became,
I want you to say, Philippians is where Paul is saying and showing us this.
Philippians is where Paul is showing us how Jesus emptied himself and became to
Now,
no
you know you
reputation.
get people to say empty themselves. And before you're done, you got to talk about that.
He emptied himself, he gave up.
You can say that, and you mean to say what?
I meant to say that Jesus became,
Empty himself.
he emptied himself, so
Okay.
he gave up his guilty,
Yeah.
and his reputation, which means he had no name, and he became
The baby.
a babe in the
And
city.
he gave him a
And
name
he gave up his name,
on earth. That was his earthly name.
earthly name.
Or what's the word for it? Given name.
He,
Given. That's his given name, right? Because the angel said, see, you should be telling me all these things. The angel said, you should call his name Jesus. That's what we don't name it. They said we're going to name it. What's your name?
the angel said that
What's your name?
Deborah,
Yeah. Mom and Dad said, what are we going to name him? Let's call him the boy. So they said, what are you going to name him? The angel said,
we should call
call
his
his name Jesus. For,
Shall save people from their sins.
yeah. And so, but before Jesus was even conceived, you're trying to tell us that Jesus existed.
Yes, sir.
You want to go into that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Before Jesus became a seed in Mary's womb, he existed because in St. John, the first chapter, the first verse says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word is Jesus, because he existed in the Old Testament when God said, let us make man. Jesus was with God in the Old Testament. He was with God and Judges in the Old Testament. And he was even with God before when he created the heaven and the earth, when
How far back
Lucifer,
can you take us about Jesus pre-existence?
how far back can I go?
You want to take a moment?
He even pre-existed when Lucifer
Yeah, you go back to this.
when Lucifer was on the earth, he was there too. When Lucifer got kicked out of heaven, Jesus was there with God
Lucifer had decided to go up and make war.
against God.
You know, he was want to take over the
He
throne.
wanted to take over the
That's
throne, yes, sir. He wanted to be God.
That's rough, eh? Lucifer was so exalted.
Yes, he was.
And he was just gonna, that's really what happened to CLG out in the book there. He was just gonna take over. He thought he would do it.
That's what they thought, sir. That's what they thought.
He was thinking.
Yeah.
So you're telling us that Jesus
Pre-existed
before
before
Lucifer went up.
went up against God. Yes, sir.
Well, then why is it that we only know Jesus from his birth to the day he was born to the day he died?
Because that's how what they preach in the churches today, and even in the bookstores, they write about Jesus, but they just write from his birth until his resurrection. They don't go before.
And
his
very
birth
little about
was-
his resurrection. But you're telling me that Jesus pre-existed before he was born as a baby.
Yes, sir.
That's what Philippians says.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, then why do you think, Sister Irma, you are great? So why do you think then that we want to start out this morning by saying, remember Lot's wife?
Because Jesus was there too.
Think so?
Yes, sir. I think he
Well, then that's what we're gonna have to do to find out. You know, what do we have to do to find that out?
We're going to go to Genesis.
Okay, we're going to go to Genesis.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
go to Genesis.
Yes, sir.
She wants to go to Genesis. Take us to Genesis. You have your Bible over here.
I just came from in the back.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Okay, while you get your Bible, we're going to go to Genesis, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
When we go to Genesis, we find some awesome things. We find one day that Abraham was sitting in his tent. Where's that at?
Genesis 18.
Everybody go to Genesis 18. And you're going to keep in mind the verse, remember Lot's wife. Right? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Where was remember Lot's wife? Luke what?
7:32.
Luke
Yes, sir.
18,
17.
32.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Very good. You think I would remember that? All right. So now we're over in, where are we now, Elder? I'm sorry, Sister, where are we?
Genesis, the 18th chapter.
18th chapter.
Yes, sir.
And we find in the 18th chapter, it should be Abraham sitting at his tent door. In the first.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. He looks up. Doesn't he, Sister Herman?
Yes, sir. In verse 2.
All right, start reading.
In verse 2.
If you want to.
And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent.
He looked up and he saw what?
3 men.
3 men.
Yes, sir.
3 men. You know notice I'm stopping there, Sister Earl?
Yes, sir.
What is that telling you?
That you're gonna emphasize.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably talk about that.
Yes, sir.
You tell from the tone of my voice, I'm gonna talk about that. So don't keep reading now. 3 men. Everybody say 3 men.
3 men.
Abraham saw 3 men. Now, say now.
Now.
So what I'm trying to figure out, who could these 3 men possibly be? So I put on the board, Jesus is talking to these people over here, right?
Yeah.
In St. Luke, he's talking to them. Remember Lot? So I put, if you could say, Jesus could have been saying, do you remember Lot's wife? You don't have to write that down. I just put that in. Look up here with Lot. Jesus could have been saying, do you remember Lot's wife? Hey, Brother Marcus, what does parenthetical mean?
Parenthetical, probably something to do with parentheses.
Sir?
Something to do with parentheses.
Something to do with parentheses.
Parentheses? Oh, maybe I can't. Anyway, I'll see if I can use that. I lost my thought there. I'm going to go back to that.
Bishop Mark knows.
Mark knows.
Mark knows. Mark knows.
Mark knows.
What do you got?
Something that's implied but not stated. Something that is implied but not stated.
Applied, but not
Stated.
implied.
Implied. Not stated.
See if I want to do that. Maybe so. I'll come back if I can. Now, I'm going to go back over here now. He's sitting in his door. And he looks up and he sees 3 men. But I'm over also in my mind, I'm over here in Luke. And Jesus is saying, oh, back to you, Sister Earl.
Yes, sir.
You're doing good.
Yes.
And Jesus is talking about, we haven't got to Lot's wife yet, but it's on down in there, right? And Jesus is talking about the same time period. So Sister Herbert, you think that Jesus might, could have been there?
Yes, sir.
But what do you think, what way do you think he could have been there?
Because he's talking about, remember, Lot's wife.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Sister Herbert, this is not there. Let's read on with the world. Keep reading where you were.
And he looked up,
Looked up, saw
3 men
3 men.
stood by him.
Looked up and saw 3 men standing over by him. 3 men. I'm emphasizing 3 men, Sister Johnson.
Yes,
3
sir.
men.
Yes, sir.
He saw 3 men. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
No.
Could possibly have been, one could have been Joseph. We can't prove this, but one could have been Jesus.
Well,
So let me throw you off because I used his name. He didn't have that name. We know the Jesus of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So 3 men. One of those men could have been Jesus. Because Jesus brings the subject up. Look at the board. Jesus brings the subject up. And the subject and the verse that Jesus mentions, it hasn't been written. What he is saying is written. What Jesus said is not in Psalms, not in Proverbs. But he is the Word. His words became the Word. So Jesus said, do you remember Lot's wife? There's a lot in there.
Yes, sir.
Right? Jesus could have been saying, we haven't got down to reading Lot's wife yet, but when these men go finish talking to to Abraham, they go on down to Sodom. But, Elder Watson, as I was reading just the other day, it seems that God did not go down to Sodom.
And the Lord went up.
Well, he didn't go up until he finished talking to Abraham. Then God went up.
Yes, sir.
So now, Mr. Sergeant, we're going to start reading where you left off.
And
Whatever verse you left off.
and lo, 3 men stood
What
by
verse is that?
2, verse 2.
Go ahead.
18 and 2. And lo, 3 men stood by him, and when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray thee, be fetched, and I wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a
Okay,
horse.
stop right there. So lose your face now.
Yes, sir.
Now, we got two things shown here. One is the first possibility is it was a custom of the land at that time to meet any stranger. The strangers just didn't come by every day. The people lived far apart. So Abraham could have been following the custom of inviting anybody who stopped by, which once a week, wash your feet on that day. Got it, Elder Watson? He could have been following the custom and tradition of the land. He could have been following the custom and tradition. But there's another possibility, Elder Watson. There's another possibility. There's another possibility, Sister Earl. Are you there? No, we haven't read this, that's what we look at. It ain't there. It's a possibility. Anybody on this side? Yeah, what do you think?
That he was honoring who he knew they were, and who knew one of them was God. So he was
How do you
honoring,
think he knew that?
because he saw who they were. I mean, they were men, so.
But you're getting more, at least you say you're getting more.
No, thank God.
You get more. Abraham knew
God.
who God looked like. You know their problem is, Sharice? God is the Spirit. Remember now, God, now go back to the
12th chapter.
12th chapter. And God came to Abraham. Robin's face is red over there. She said, God came to Abraham and come to Abraham. So you know what's that's erasing from your mind?
The Spirit.
The God of the Spirit. If God is the Spirit, then Jesus was the Spirit. So that's how God could get in the flesh and manifest himself, as the apostolic said, as Jesus. And then God died on the cross, which don't make sense.
No, sir.
So, Abraham, now this is a strong, isn't it, Elder Watson? Strong possibility. When Abraham looked up and saw those men coming, Abraham said, I know him. He said, God came to Abraham in the beginning of the chapter, of the 12th chapter.
Yes.
God came to Abraham before he ever left Iraq.
Yes, many times.
Iraq, brothers.
Yeah.
God came to Abraham, and Abraham, not like saints. That's why you should never forget what the Lord has done for you.
That's right.
You know, when people forget what the Lord has done for them, you know what they do? They backslide. If you just remember what He's done for you, you won't go back. So Abraham never forgot what God looked like. I mean, he saw God, and God spoke to Abraham. So I don't believe that. Well, you cannot disbelieve me. You can't dispute me because I got the evidence. So I'm thinking, here's what I'm thinking, Sister Johnson.
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking, Abraham sitting there and he said, And so he goes out to meet them because he knew what God looked like. God had talked to him before he ever left Chaldees.
Yes, sir.
Are you there, Sister Hurdle?
Yes, sir.
I'll be back next Sunday to see you all.
Yes, sir. I'll be here.
Abraham knew what he looked like. And so when they walked up, they was
You recognize everybody.
you've seen before. And in that day and time, you didn't see people like every day, you know, cars pass them all the time. If they had cars, one a month. Yes, sis, I'll get you in a minute.
Okay,
I'll get you in a minute.
all right.
So Abraham knows what God looks like. But when he does speak to God, and God speaks to him, there are what?
Two up. Yeah, two up.
Two others.
Are means plural, doesn't it?
Yes.
There are two others.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't got your tab, Scott. There are, just stay with me. There are two other men. Right? And Jesus told me in St. Luke, seems like he's trying to tell me in St. Luke he was there, but we can't be for sure yet here now. There are two other men. Now these two other men are the ones who went on down to Sodom, and Jehovah is there still talking with Abraham. He doesn't go down there, does he?
No,
No, he doesn't.
Look and see.
He went
no,
up.
he did not.
Well, when he finishes talking to Abraham, when Abraham finishes bartering with him,
Yes, yes.
There's 10 souls. He gets down to 10 souls.
when he finishes bartering with him, if I find this many, if I find that many, and then God told the thing that God, Jehovah doesn't go down to Sodom. You have any idea, Sister Tam Scott?
Yes,
Why?
because it was sin. And
Ma'am?
he saw it many times. Abraham saw God many times.
Do you have any idea why Jehovah didn't go down to Sodom?
Well, he didn't go down to Sodom because Lot was there and was in sin.
Ma'am?
Lot.
No. Sodom was just too wicked. You know?
It says sin. You didn't hear me.
It's just
Sin.
too wicked. I'm a holy God.
Sin.
So when you're filled with the Spirit, there's some place you don't have to go.
That's right.
Woo, that's right. Whatever you say.
When you get filled with the Spirit, there's some place you don't have to go.
That's right, Bishop.
Really? So people say, oh, you don't know this, I'm not filled with the Spirit. Well, I got to say, well, they all tell you the same thing. So God doesn't go. Jehovah doesn't go down there.
Sin.
But these other two go. They go down. All right, so what we have here now. So now we know why Abraham knows who this is as soon as he starts coming near. And immediately Abraham does what, Sister Ruth? Tells the people there, his wife and other people, that they have not help.
Get him ready.
Get ready. Reception form.
You got company.
Yes, sir.
Because he knows God. He knows who he is. Had been knowing who he was for quite a while, ever since he came out of Chaldees, right? I hate all this. Contrary to what you may think, what you think is what you've been told. We're just going by what we read.
Yes, we are.
It's better to go by what you read. When these three men come walking up, Abraham recognizes him. He's seen it before.
Ran to me.
Amen.
You know, so it's good to ask y'all this morning, do you know it?
Do you know it?
That's the sermon. Do you know it? Do you know it? Do you know it, Tab? Tab, do you know it?
Whatever you say. He's asking.
Do you know it?
Do you know it?
Do you know Jesus?
All right. Jesus he said, I am the Word. All of Jesus' words became Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So now we have 3 men. Was it 4 or 3? 3. 3. What is this? Keep reading.
In verse 4, let a little water I created be fetched, and water to eat, and rest yourselves under the tree.
Verse 2. Verse 2.
Oh, you want to read? Okay, verse 2. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them at the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground.
Now, you know why he did that now?
Yes, sir.
He recognized.
You bow.
It's more than a blessing of the land. He recognized him. God had met him before he ever left Ur Chaldee. Remember? Oh, by the way, how do you think God convinced Abraham to do what he did? You have any idea, Sister Tam Scott?
How do we think that Abraham did what?
How do you think, do you have any idea how God convinced Abraham to go 3,000 miles or 1,000 miles? He told all of his friends they believed in him.
He went by
He
faith.
tried to convince as many other people in the neighborhood to come with him.
Helped by faith.
Told him about the city.
By faith.
Told him that.
And probably was there.
And how do you think he convinced Abraham?
There.
And if we do more of it, we may convince more people too. God was to convince Abraham through mighty Paul said through mighty signs and wonders. Paul said through mighty signs. Did Paul say that?
Yes, sir.
Through mighty signs and wonders. So I guess that's what we're going to have to type up on here, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
I know it can convince me. I don't think God just said, Abraham, I'm pretty sure I brought you a message. My son was there, the Maryland. Abraham said, I like what you're saying. And look, God, it convinced Abraham through mighty signs and wonders. Nothing in fact of do what he did.
Yes.
And so Abraham went around and was evangelizing and convinced people.
Yes, yes.
People with him. So what is my desire? What is your desire? This. That's one of the things that I put in my prayer every day. I've been putting that in my prayer every day ever since. There'll be some things when you open up your prayer, you ought to say it every day.
Every day.
And God is pleased with what you say. He'll bring it to pass. But he has to be pleased. Some things in your prayer you should say every day. Right, Gary? Right. But God, I need your help and you want a promotion on my job. No, not that.
Not that.
Now, we need to go and throw the husband too. No, not that. Some things when you pray, you should say them every day.
Yes, sir.
And if you say these things every day when you pray, the Lord will bring these things to pass because they are spiritual things. And there are things that fulfill the scripture like seek ye first. And all these other things that you want to be added to you. Right? Okay. So, Abraham believed God.
Yes. Trusted.
And it was imputed to him for righteousness. And it says over in that 11th and 12th chapter that Abraham brought with him all his family and all the other souls that he had converted.
Yes. Yes.
Because when they get to another place, they stop there for quite a while. And he converted more people to follow him and this new God that had been appearing to him and performing miracles and And this is what convinced all of them to start following God.
So that he had gotten in Haran.
The souls that were verses at
Verse 5,
11 or 12?
12 and 5.
12 and 5. Read that out loud.
And Abram took Sarah, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran.
Yeah.
And they went forth to the land of Canaan, into the land of Canaan.
So on the way, they were converting other people.
Yes.
So, Scott, you got your work cut out for you over there with all the Muslims.
Amen.
They over there, aren't they?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about them today. They don't mind bread. All right, so along the way, he was really, so God must have really done a lot to convince Abraham. Anyway, when God, Jehovah, you know Jehovah, and two other men. Now, I don't think it was Michael, they gave what we don't know. Right? But we think one of them could strongly have been Jesus. But we didn't know his name. Remember that. That throws you off. Jesus, the name. But we didn't know his name yet. We knew his name until he get to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Yes.
Right. So Abraham looks up and Abraham recognizes him. Them. He recognizes them. He jumps up and runs out to meet him. You know, it's good to know the Spirit when the Spirit comes. Well, so in a service, God don't come walking through that door, but somebody in here ought to know when the Spirit is getting ready to move. When the Spirit is moving. I tell my musicians all the time. I tell my little drum all the time, wait on the Spirit. He's up there beating his brains out. Pow, pow, pow. I said, wait on the Spirit. Don't be Gary. I look over at Gary, and I tell him, if Franklin's on the organ, I'm on the keyboard. He look over at me and I tell him, wait on the Spirit. And they look up at the drum because the drummer done gone over to the next chapter. You have to wait on the Spirit. If we go on these praise and worship, when you get up in praise and worship, you should think, is it time for a fast song? Is it time for a worship song? What do we do?
Yes, sir.
So we're going to have Brother Joseph and Brother Ty and Brother Guy, Ty and Brother in the worship. Guys, not real, all right? You guys come up, you get the mic. I'm a soldier! And the musician hasn't even got to be on the Spirit.
Yes, sir.
Let's see which way he's going to go. Now, we have a lot of that, don't we?
Yes. Yes.
Hasty spirit. And you think you know how to do it? You think you know how to preach? You think you know how to lead prayer? You think you know how to do everything without the Spirit? You think you know all of it. But when I read, I said, what you read, Eric? You know what I read? I read, without me, you can do nothing. And you got it all.
That's John 15, you can do nothing. Without him, you would be nothing.
That's right.
But I know one thing, you're aware of, if I tell you, as soon as we did this, Christian Ed, if I tell you, you're preaching this for me, you'll be searching it for, oh, Jesus, what am I going to say? Or, if I tell you, you'll be preaching this one, got it. I'm just the one, I got it, I brought the morning message with me. Oh, you did? Woo! Wow. That is something. You have a lot of that every day. Stay on the Spirit. And he'll lead you and he will guide you. So that tells us that every service should be a service led by the Spirit. And you will have a great Spirit-filled service. lot of times we follow the Spirit, and you let the wrong person get up and say something, and you throw you off track. And then if somebody don't get it back on track, it goes like that for the rest of the service. You said you don't want to watch the pre-game days. So when we get done with the service, I feel like I've been preaching. I don't even preach. I just feel like I've been preaching because I'm watching you preach. You ever tell them? I tell them half the time when to change sheet on them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It could be a G. What key you in? He said we in F. G. C. As soon as we change the key, you can tell, can't you?
Yeah.
You follow the Spirit. Right here.
Yes, sir.
He's not taking an apple bill.
No, until they change the key again.
So when we get our person worship leaders up there, whatever we choose, I just go to Brother Gary. Gary looks up to me. And Gary say, where are we going? Well, the first thing we do, we look at who we have up there. Don't we, Gary?
Yes, sir.
I do. You do too. We look at it, we got 3 people. We got Sister so-and-so, Brother so-and-so, Brother so-and-so. And we celebrate maybe we're in see. And I do. You think now, who's going to start out first? She sings high. He sings low. She sings big soul. We said, her name was Carolyn Taylor. Whenever Carolyn Taylor was there, I don't know how she did it. That was a miracle. A mystery one. We play all keys, but some keys we prefer not to do it because it sounds awkward. But some musicians can play all keys beautifully. We don't do it. He's better at it than I am. Ever Carolyn Taylor, I don't care what month of the year it is, what time of day, if you need to have her lead praise, she's going to start that song in A natural or B natural. A or B.
Yes, sir.
She's had one of them, what do you call it? Perfect, she had perfect pitch. Gary has perfect pitch. Ella Taylor did praise and worship 365 days a year. And every time she's going to start her first song off with B natural or A natural. But now, failed. I have tested her. I said, how did she do it? But, like you know, you get up this time, give a start off your song at F. Maybe next time, a month later, you know how you do it, they start off your first song in B back. Unfortunately, she will start it in A or B natural. Not A, no flat, B. A or B. And we play in those keys, but it's kind of cumbersome, you know, we're starting every time there it goes. So what we do is when the people get up and we praise and worship, if they don't start singing too quick, I tell Gary, we tell you, sing in this key. But you get up and you don't pay any attention.
No.
And we think it's probably because you're just nervous being called on. So what is it, Sarish?
Tone deaf, nervous.
No. So that's what we started doing. And I'll tell Franklin, if he's on the organ, I'll tell him to leave. Because sometimes we get sitting up there, you know. Garrett, I look at Garrett, if I get him looked up. If you don't give them the key, they're going to start off singing and they're going to put you in one of the keys you don't want to play in. Right, Garrett? So that's what we do over there. I need to keep y'all on key. Then, the next thing we have to do, somebody has to be, one of the musicians has to be watching. If we've already had 2 or 3 songs, the first opening song, we say, they're high, they gotta be. You know, female voice is high anyhow. So if you get them too high to start up, they're screaming. So we have to say, bring it down. Bring it down. So the suit we heard and we end that song. And so when we get to the end of that verse, we stop hoping you'll stop so we can get you in another key because you were too high. So I'm telling Frank and Gary all the time, and after all these years, I think they're starting to catch on. Somebody has to be watching all the time. That's
right.
So I don't know what he does when I'm not here. No, he looks at, there you go. The bishop right here, sing it away. But you don't want you to fuss at him and rebuke him and prophesy on him, but so the spirit will come down and the people, it's more than you. You think you it? Yes, sir. It's more than you. It really is a lot. Somebody got to stay on the key.
Yes, sir.
You got to stay on the key in the keyboard. You got to stay on the key in the spirit. You think you got the whole thing going, don't you? And we sit over saying, boy, when she stops this thing, we're going to cut her off and put her on another song. And you think you just know. We got the mic just running down the aisle screen, and we're saying, oh, how long can we end this? You can do it. You've been doing it for years. So when we get to the end of the service, sometimes I just go home and go to bed. The went to the kids at the General Assembly. We're sitting up there every night in the General Assembly, making sure y'all don't go wrong. If you know, the children of Israel will build a golden gate. Build what, Harry? And Moses will be up on the mountain with 70 elders, and when he comes down there, I came in service one night, for some reason I was somewhere, it was late. And by the time it was during the youth part, the ayat, and I walked across the bridge. By the time I walked into the lobby out there, I could hear the music of the Golden Calf. And I said, what is going on? I come on around the corner and went on down, and the sound people had the drum mic right there. The sound people had the drum mic. And these three ladies who worked there in the lobby area, I said, man, they got that drum going tonight. And they said, yes, it is. But it was sounding like it was a club. Boom, boom, boom. And I came out of the town, I said, whoa. Because they had already gotten started, you know. And I said, whoa. They got that mic right in that room, that drum, and if you didn't know the better, you thought you was in a bar. But it was the youth, but IAT department. And I thought, oh, God. Whew. I said, I don't know how we're going to do this. I'm going to go over here. And I went down the hall, the backside, and I came up through the back way, up to where they was on the stage. I said, you got that man down there over that counter on that platform over there, had that drum mic. And the young people liked it.
Of course.
You know why?
Mind them of where they've been.
It sounded like the world.
Yeah.
When I came around that corner, if I hadn't known I was in the G, you could have just said you're in a bar. And in the bar, the drum is heavy. You know, Gary?
I don't know.
It's just listen to the music on the TV.
Yeah.
You gotta have that. Don't think y'all said, oh, man.
Bishop, I really
I
got
said,
some idea.
we have to turn this around, but it's going to be hard to turn something around once it gets going. You know, once it gets going, it's hard to turn the service around once it gets going. So I said, I don't know what else, I don't know what y'all do when y'all out there by yourself, but that's the way it was that day. So I went on up and got on up there, and so I started giving signals to tell them they had to turn that mic down up and how that drum. Somebody's, do you remember that, Gary?
Yes, sir, I remember.
Oh, but from out in the hallway, I said to the three ladies working, I said, man, that drum is going to be saying, yeah, yeah, and they were sinners. So there's a whole lot that goes on with having a service where you want the Lord to come in. Yes, it is. And then, and I'm gonna finish. And then we have the nerve when all you're finished with all that screaming and hollering, try to have a prayer line. Try to have a prayer line. Trying to pray for people after all of that. Prayer line, that's what prayer line is for the end, when the Spirit is ready to bring it to a close for the people to be blessed. And the people looking forward to be blessed after what has been transpiring all along, which brings the blessing to the end. Okay, now let's go back up here. Now start reading. So, Jehovah stays with Abraham, right? Jehovah doesn't go down to Sodom.
No, he didn't.
All right, keep reading, Sister Earl.
Psalm 1, verse 3 now.
That's good, yeah.
I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that.
Go ahead.
I just want to be on the right word.
Okay.
And said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant.
Okay, Sister Earl, skip on down where Abraham barters with God, and God finally agrees to a certain amount of number. What verse is that? What verse is it?
23 it starts. Verse 23.
Read verse 23. Start reading at 23.
And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous and the wicked?
Go on.
Peradventure, there be 50 righteous within
We'll
the
go all the way
city.
down till the find settles on a number.
Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from me to do all after this matter. You slay the righteous with the wicked, and the righteous, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from me. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city.
That's the beginning. Go all the way down to the
32. And he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry. I will speak yet but this one. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake.
Okay, now what does God do now?
Leaves.
And the Lord went his way.
And the Lord went his way.
Way.
And you know what? I thought I read also in God and Abraham's conversation here. It said, and God went up. Maybe I didn't, but in this case, and God went his way. Y'all see that?
Yes.
And God went his way. But I thought you told me, Sister Hurdle, it was 3.
Earlier, they went to
It was.
Well, then you do the other 2.
It went down.
Went to
They
Sodom.
went on down to Sodom.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Just
I
put
wonder
things up
who
in
went
that
down
too,
to Sodom. Well, it doesn't say. Because we've been looking, it doesn't say, does it?
Yes, sir.
It doesn't say whether it was Gabriel, whether it was Michael,
2 angels.
2 angels, yeah.
And there came 2 angels.
And they was the 2 that came with Abraham from the start.
Yeah.
Now, one of them could have been the second person of the
The
Trinity.
Word.
Good.
The Word, you call him.
Hmm?
You call him the Word.
Yeah.
Because he said, remember.
Anyway, Jesus seems to have knew about Lot's wife.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
He knew about Lot's wife, so the story must have been handed down through the culture, verbal, because it wasn't written yet. Although they did have writings. Isaiah was written on, they had their writings there. But Jesus knew about Lot. Now, my big question, I said the whole morning, did Jesus have been there?
It's in Genesis.
Jehovah was there,
Yes.
and Jesus said, before Abraham was,
I am.
I am.
I am.
Before Abraham was, I am. So that explains to us why God said, and God said, let us make man. Let us make man. Not no three persons in one. Like the Trinity. God said, let us make man. Us is Jehovah and Jesus, who was then the Word. Remember that when we use the word Jesus, we're speaking of from the time he was born to the time from the time he was born to now. So Jesus could very well have been there when all this is going on because he mentions a lot. He said all that to say this. Now you really got to read this.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you do.
So, hey, you'll see a whole lot more. Like one time, one last time, my time is over. Children of Israel came up across the Jordan River, and once they got into the land, they started disobeying God. And God came up from Gilgal.
Gilgal. They stood over against it. I saw that.
God came up from
And he was
Gilgal.
fighting.
But when you read it, it doesn't say whether it was Jehovah, the first person of the Trinity, or whether it was Jesus, who was known as the Word. But he came up from Gilgal. Joshua 4. Go to Joshua right quick.
Joshua 4. Is it Joshua 4?
Joshua
4:19.
4. Let's see what it says, Joshua 4. What does it say, Joseph?
And the people came up out of Jordan on the 10th day
All right.
of the first month,
All right.
and encamped in Gilgal, in the east border of Jericho.
Yeah.
And the 12 stones which they took out of Jordan did Joshua pitch in Gilgal.
Okay.
And he spake.
No, you want to know what they did, what they were supposed to do.
Oh, okay.
And the angel of the Lord came up and told them, I told you this, and I told you that, and you haven't done anything I told you to do. And from now on, I'm not going to be with you. And they wept. Bullshit.
That's bullshit.
Oh, that's not
That's
good.
it.
Bullshit. That's up. Okay. But there is one in Joshua 5
I want the one where he said, I will not be with you anymore.
where he made an appearance. Okay.
So you haven't obeyed. But he called her the angel of the Lord. But yet he said, but you haven't done anything I told you to do. And angels don't usually speak in first person singular. Like they're God. So when you see that, you know it's either Jehovah or it was Jesus. Find that now, and then I'll be done. And he came up from Bochim. And in Psalms it says that and he wept.
Yeah, you read that. I read that. Briefly.
And the angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal.
Gilgal, yeah.
And the angel
Sorry, St. Judges, not Joshua. Judges. And the angel of the Lord. See, at this time, he calls it, the writer calls it the angel of the Lord. But a lot of times, Bishop Brother, when it says the angel of the Lord, yeah, this is what the conversation is about is probably Jesus. And read on, and the angel of the Lord.
And an angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal
Yes.
to Bochim
Yes.
and said, I made you.
Stop. You see that? What do you see, Bishop Brother? What do you see, Lexi? Well, notice the style of the writing. First, the writer says, an angel of the Lord. And in the next breath, the writer says, he speaks in the first person. And the angel says, and I. Well, an angel of the Lord doesn't say, I did anything. They'll say, what the. So this has to be either Jehovah or Jesus.
Yes.
Read on.
An angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt and have brought.
Whoa, see that? Now that's either Jehovah or it could be Jesus.
Yes.
Now we know that Jesus was, well, Jesus was in the burning bush.
Yes.
The burning bush that Moses saw.
Yes.
That was the Holy Ghost. We're just trying to prove to you that Jesus has always existed in the Old Testament as well as New. Now I want you to read that on your own now. All right? I'm not going to read it anymore now, but read that on your own. Now don't come back here next week and, oh, I forgot. If you forget, your punishment will be no TV for a week. You remember that now? Okay. So make a note of that. You got to read. And then read what the angel of the Lord told them. And then look at how they responded. Who's read it before? Have y'all read it before?
Ready.
Okay, but did you look at how the people responded?
Yes.
Why did they respond the way they did?
Because of who it was.
What? Well, you got me because you know I'm out of town. Why did they respond, Bishop, the way they did? Because of who was talking to them. And they knew who he was.
Amen.
Got it?
Yes.
So when Jesus came in the person as the Messiah, right?
Yes.
He comes in the person of the Messiah, and he's talking to the Jews in his day and time, and talking to them like he was back there then.
Yes.
And they were saying, who is this guy?
Yeah, because he just got here. He came for 30 years
So,
later.
we know him.
Yes.
Do we know his mother? Do we know his brothers? And he's talking like, I've always been here.
Yes.
And they're saying, they go home and talk about it. They said, he act like he's been here all the time. He said, we know his mother, we know his brothers, we know where he lives. And he said, before Abraham was, I am. He says, he's got a devil.
Yeah.
He kept telling them, I've always been around.
Yes.
They say he's crazy. He hasn't always been around. And that's why it's so hard for you to get it. He says, I've always been around.
Yes.
They said, no, you're not. They said, no, we're going to stone you. This is, without a doubt, it's the devil talking through you. So do we know his mother, his brothers? So the people, the people would get to get in.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So the people convinced his own brothers.
Yes. Yes.
Because in the next chapter, where I am in my mind, in the next chapter,
Yes.
it says, and then there was a feast of the Jews. And his brothers, after that big argument with him 2 chapters before, said, were you going?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is that right, Ella Austin? She said, I'm better than this week. His brother said, are you going? And what does he say, Tax Scott? What did he say, Cherise?
It's my time. It's not my time.
She said,
It's not my time.
They said, why not? He said, it's not my time. Because he said, neither did his brother believe in him. the Lord has called you to preach, say, if the Lord has called me to preach.
If the Lord has called me to preach.
Always remember this. If the Lord has called, everybody has to go through this if he called them.
Yes.
One of the things that you're going to have, one of the challenges is getting other people to believe you. One of the things is getting other people to believe. Once they knew I was called to preach, my older sister, she's going on to heaven now. She made a special trip all the way from, where was she at? Remember? Bishop Evans made a special trip all the way from Maryland because Bishop Mama had been telling Joseph preaching. Joseph preached this. Joseph preached that. Once I saw it, I took off. She said, preach this. So she mother come all the way down here. One whole, she took off to come down. She said, I come down here to tell the Joseph preaching. You keep writing about this. So she made a special trip out here to sing. And that was the same Sunday some of them come up there from Mass and Warner. So Bishop Evans made a special trip out here. She didn't believe it. Mama said, well, just praying for people this time. Martha said she didn't believe that. Mama said, well, some people got healed. Martha said she didn't believe that. She said, well, I'm going out here to see what this is. So she comes on out. I didn't know that that's why I just thought she wanted to come home. So we get there on Sunday morning, because we were expecting all these other people to come in. Mama, bring cook. So she was home fixing dinner. I get down there, and I'm doing what I always do. Sing, play the organ, teach Christian age, get up, preach the whole 9 yards, So I'm going to just preach and try and have a short service so we can get back and eat. So then all of a sudden I thought, while I'm talking, I thought, where's Martha? And I looked around because she wasn't saying amen. She's always a chatter watching the So I looked around there, Bishop, I looked around, and I caught myself. She was right here on the wall, and Martha was like this. She was like this. And I said, what is she looking at? And I thought, well, I'm preaching. I said, well, I can't be bothered now. I got to go and finish it. I got to have prayer. And I just put her aside, because she was, well, what she did, she drove. And what she did, as soon as we dismissed, she got in her car and beat me to the house. And so by the time I'm getting in the house, she was already in the kitchen, and I come in behind her. And she says, Mama said, well, how was the service? And I come in behind her. Mama said, oh. She said, I want to ask you something, Mama. And she didn't know I was standing behind her. Mama said, what's that? She said, is she for real? That's one of the things you have to go through with. They're either going to believe you. They're either going to believe you. Right here in this church house. They're either going to believe you, or they're not going to believe you. Now, I can't say you live like a devil.
That's right.
Oh, no.
Right? Because you can have a halo on your head and somebody still, hey, Jesus was the Son of God. They didn't believe him. He was. So you don't think that's an alibi now. So my mama said, well, you heard him, didn't you? She said, yeah, but is he for real? Mama said, well, my mama had made up her mind either. She said, well, I went outside on the back porch. She had to go back and cool off. So I went upstairs, and the Lord said to me, he said, that was about the third time that nobody believed I was going to be called. I wasn't planning on it either. Didn't want to be no preacher.
It was a drag.
When I said didn't want to be,
Yes.
when Bishop was started, I was in awe.
No, you want to tell me I was.
I was in awe.
You put me in awe. You told me that. I told you what thus said the Lord.
That's what she said, but I was in awe.
Don't talk to her. She deep into it.
Because when I say in awe, she displays the Lord. I didn't expect it. And they didn't expect me to start preaching. But she started, I didn't expect it. Now, if it had been our other brother who was going on to heaven, and if it had been him, I would have fell out and speaking in tongues. Matthew was expecting. Now, Matthew, if anybody would have been called, it would have been Matthew. But I've been called to preach. No. Bishop Butler was the baby's young, so she didn't rush. She took her time. Then I had another brother, Paul. He was saved, but Paul didn't want to preach. And the rest of us in the world, you know. So, one of the things you will have to face, will they believe you or will they not? And you're just going to have to get over that. Get it in your mind. Make up in your mind that the Lord will bless you. Yes, sir. Is that right, Bishop? Yes, sir. Get it in your mind. Because you will be faced with that challenge.